I do want to ask, though, because in his capacity as Prime Minister, Mark Carney today said, detailed basically his view of how the degree to which we have been interdependent with the United States and the degree to which the world really has looked to the United States for economic leadership, particularly in the realm of trade, is over. He said very specifically. He said it's a tragedy and it's a new reality. And he also talked about Canada amplifying trade with looking to other like-minded countries. And it's in that vein that I wanted to ask, I've covered your government for a number of years. I've covered CETA. I've covered the Indo-Pacific strategy, a lot of different efforts to diversify trade that ultimately resulted in the same portion of our goods and services heading to the United States today as did 5 years ago or 10 years ago, give or take a couple of percentage points. 3/4 of what we send, no matter what your government did to try and amplify trade with other countries, still goes to the United States. So what new plan will you put forward to Canadians to do the opposite? And why should Canadians trust that your government can do that when it hasn't been able to over the last decade?
Actually, we are the only G7 country that has a free trade agreement with every other G7 country. So the first step is going to be to leverage each and every one of those trading relationships. The second step is going to look internally and make sure that we are dismantling internal barriers to trade, which could add up to $200 billion to the Canadian economy. So there are steps that we will take immediately as a result of the very devastating announcement relating to tariffs that President Trump has made over the last number of weeks. But make no mistake, this is about reordering trade relationships. This is about developing stronger trading relationships within Canada and with other partners. And that's exactly what this moment requires us to do. Regardless of the decisions that the United States is taking, this moment signifies a time where we need to broaden our trade relationships and leverage our natural resources and critical mineral sectors. Canada has everything that other countries want. Now will be the time to leverage those critical minerals and raw materials in particular, so that the United States and every other country that wants those minerals knows that there will be a price to pay when you want to trade with Canada.
That wasn't the question.
With respect, Minister, my question wasn't about how many free trade deals we have. I pointed out that I've covered all of the ones that your government has signed over the last decade. When you raise the issue of leveraging, I think Canadians would wonder, why hasn't it been leveraged before? Why does it take this crisis to leverage trade deals that have been in place in some cases for a number of years? And if you couldn't leverage it over the last decade, why should they believe you will going forward?
Well, because they saw that we signed a free trade agreement with the United States in 2017 that Donald Trump himself signed. And we had assurance based on that agreement with the United States that, for example, $150 billion per year for the auto sector could transfer across the Canada-US border. That equation has now changed, and that requires us now to pivot and develop another strategy. And that requires us to have a leader who is serious and capable and experienced, one who has managed financial crises in the past, and one who will carry our country and our country's economy forward during these turbulent times.
It's not Carney.
All right, Minister, I'll leave it there. I think your mouse is going crazy on the screen. I appreciate you making the time. Thank you.